So whenever you're ready, KK.
Okay. Yaate. Yaate. She. Kaleab Paddock and she. That means hello. My name is Kaleab Paddock. Today I'll be teaching Navajo culture appreciation on culture. And Yaete means hello in Navajo. The culture originated from the ancestors, the Athabascan ancestors of the Navajo and Apache around 1400 CE. The Navajo lived in Western Canada some 1,000 years ago, and they belonged to an American Indian group called the Athabascans, and they called themselves the Dene, or the people. The language they speak is Navajo. Some of the religions that are in the society is called Peyote, NAC, which is Native American Church, Christianity, and traditional. Some of the foods that they eat are fry bread, mutton and corn stew, Navajo cake, blue mush, and this is also Navajo cake. They also eat corn soup, but nowadays they eat the same foods that we all do. The eating habits influenced by the food available in the country. It's poor because of limited fundings and few grocery stores. Therefore, unhealthy foods are more plentiful, such as chips, soda, spam, candied goods, and meat. And some of the traditions we do or they do are powwows. They do not go to church on the weekends. They worship nature as gods or idols in different traditional ceremonies. And some of the things that we do are we go to church on Saturdays, we worship God, and yeah, that's it. Some of the holidays we celebrate are the same as the ones we celebrate in the United States. But the only thing that's different is in Christmas, they usually take feathers and ashes and cedar, and they dust the presents, and it signifies that as a good blessing. And some of the other celebrations or ceremonies we do is we do a ceremony for girls. This takes place around the age of 8 through 12. And in the ceremony, a cake is made and is celebrated with family members and in a banquet style. So the dress attire or the clothes attire is very different in our culture. It includes lots of turquoise in our culture signifies power, status, and luxury. In modern times, many Navajo people still wear traditional jewelry, but for more special occasions. And this is what some of the dresses or attire in our culture. The churches there are very different. There is different types of churches. There is also a Navajo church, SDA, and it's different from our SDA because the Navajo SDA, there is no formal church service. Churches are rare to find and equally hard to get to, and the pastor preaches to less people. They sing hymns in Navajo and worship on Saturdays, and they also worship God. And other different churches would be Catholic and the other religions, and they don't pray only once or twice. They worship any day that is convenient, and they chant and sing. They worship idols or pray to idols. I also have some pictures of rugs they use. These rugs are made out of cotton, or they're weaved into to make it look like blankets. We live in Hogans, and it's a dome-shaped house with wood frame and walls made out of clay. The door of the Hogan is always faced east so they can see the sunrise. And it is believed that if the main door was positioned to the open it to the east, it will bring them good blessings. Some of the things that the Navajos do for fun is that many Navajo children like to go hunting and fishing with their fathers. In the past, Indian kids have more chores and less time to play in their daily lives, just like some other children. But they did have dolls, toys, and games to play. Navajo children like to run, foot races, play archery games, and ride horses. The Navajo tribe is known for their woven rugs and blankets. They first learned to weave cotton from the Pueblo people. When they started to raise sheep, they switched to wool. And clothes are usually made out of cotton and animal skin. Before horses, they used dogs to pull sleds called travios. In 1864, around 19,000 Navajos were forced by soldiers on a march from Arizona to New Mexico. Around 200 people died during the 450-mile trip. The relocation was poorly planned and unsuccessful. 40 years later, the Navajos were allowed to return to the homeland called the Long Walk. The Navajo language is so difficult to learn that it was used as a secret code in World War II. And I think that's it.
Okay. Tell her that your family's here to sing in Navajo song for you. No, Jesus loves you in Navajo. Come in now and sing Jesus loves you in Navajo.
My family is coming to sing Jesus Loves Me in Navajo. This is the lyrics to the song.
Sayo ashone, kena sosye shepane, tenebi yanise, joshitida equity. Jesus Ayoshone, Jesus, Ayoshone, Satyeshivane. Jesus, Yeshivane, Stokikagesa. Jesus, Ayoshone, Jesus, Ayoshone, Jesus, Ayoshone, Isakeshimane. Jesus, Ayoshone, Doshiti, Dosopiti, Jesus, Ayoshone, Jesus, Ayoshone, Jesus, Ayoshone, Isakeshivane. Jesus, Ayoshone, Jesus, Ayoshone, Jesus, Ayoshone, Jesus, Ayoshone, Jesus,
Yeah, that's Jesus Loves Me in Navajo.
That is awesome. So KK, can you go back? How do you say hello in Navajo?
Okay. You say hello is yaate.
Yaate.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to open up the platform for if anyone has any questions or anyone wants to talk about anything or ask KK, whatever you guys would like to. Type it in the chat, or you could unmute yourself and we can go over those questions. So KK, you talked about the turquoise and how it signifies power, luxury. Are there any other popular stones in the Navajo culture?
Coral.
Coral, okay. And what is that used for? Just for jewelry as well?
Yeah, he's for jewelry as well.
Okay. So I have a Crystal M who's asking, what is the blue mush made of? So I think she's
It's
asking
corn. Yeah, it's made out of corn.
corn. Okay. Marissa says this was awesome. Thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Could you show us a little bit more of your jewelry? That way we can see it on the camera. We kind of see your necklace, but maybe like show us a little bit.
Yeah. This is the outfit, and these are the bracelets and rings.
Oh, cool. So where would you wear this kind of outfit for? Like what kind of event, or is it kind of casual?
It's a traditional ceremonies.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And also special events.
Okay, I have a Samuel Camacho asking, what is a Navajo cake?
It's especially made for girls
it's especially made for girls' ceremony.
Okay, and what kind of cake is it? Is it like a corn cake as well, or what kind of ingredients is it in? Does it have inside, I should say?
Corn, flour, corn syrup. but the main ingredient is corn,
Okay, cool.
and it's cooked on the ground.
Oh, wow.
And also it takes a day to make.
Wow. So when you say cook on the ground, can you explain that? Like, how does that work?
Uh, I never made a cake. It's like by making it on the ground, you make like a circle, and you put the ingredients in there, and there you pour corn husk underneath it first, and then you put the ingredients, and then you put a cover on top, and you add more corn husk on top.
Oh, okay, cool. And it's a whole day process, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I have another question from Lewis. The question is, did Navajo Indians always believe in the existence of God of heaven, or did they have other religions?
They had other religions.
Okay. Great questions, you guys. Let's keep them coming. Let me look on the other site. So Ruth from Facebook says, I went to one powwow and it was beautiful. It was a unique experience. And she said that it was beautiful, your song.
Thank you. I have some Navajo rugs right here that that my grandma made.
Oh, wow.
That's called pictorial rug. This one is called pictorial rug.
Uh-huh. And what is that rug used for?
Well, they used to use those for Navajo traditions or Navajo ceremonies, but now my mom, she just gave them to us just to hang up in our, in the house.
Cool.
And Leander's grandma made some of them, Kiki's great grandma.
And how long do rugs typically take to make?
These little ones, they sit there all day, so I won't say like maybe a week, 2 weeks. Yeah. Okay. My mom has made up to like 10 feet by 10 feet ones, real big ones.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom mostly makes smaller rugs now because she's older, and
those are beautiful rugs.
Yeah, we have more rugs, but we weren't sure how many we want to show.
Well, those are great. So yeah. I have Marissa asking, she's asking, is jewelry passed down or does each person make their own?
Jewelry's passed down. My older sister is the one that made the ones that KK has on. Those actually belongs to her sister. But my sister, she was, her and her husband were, or I don't know if they still make them, but they're silversmiths.
Awesome.
Right. And then the necklaces that she's wearing, and so we have a lot of more necklaces that she got from her grandma. My mom and her auntie makes those necklaces.
Cool. And how do they make them?
How do they make them? The silver ones is they heat up it's kind of like molten or something, and they put it on the ends of a toothpick kind of thing, and then these torcas are actually little squares when they glue it to the end of the stick, and then they grind them, and they make all of these individually, all of them, to be set in there. Yeah, and then they glue silversmith, or they weld the thing together, because you can see behind how it is, it's like a flat silver, and it's glued to these 3 little pieces for the bracelets. but here's the front part. They have to shape each individual of the stones in there to fit in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I have some more questions. Crystal M is asking, is there a Navajo anthem?
There is a Navajo anthem. I'm not sure, but there is the
Navajo version.
the Navajo version of the national anthem.
Oh, okay.
Most of our tradition is based like on corn.
We have
Yeah. And Kiona's got these from her grandma. She puts them in her room because her grandma tells her it's like for wealth or good luck or something like that. So she just keeps them up in her room. Yeah. But most of our traditional food is from corn.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Samuel Camacho's asking, do you have any traditional Navajo stories?
They have lots of stories. Yes, they have folklore stories. They even have a story about how they think that the creation came about. That all these ancestors had come through different worlds, and stuff like that. They have lots of stories.
Cool. I have Louis asking, do Navajo Indians live on reservations? And if so, is it possible to visit a Navajo Indian reservation? I think it would be very nice to visit.
Yes, my KK's family, or KK's grandma, my mom, they all still live on the Navajo reservation. Our reservation, the Navajo reservation, is the biggest one. It laps a little bit over into New Mexico and into Utah, but majority of it is in the northern part of Arizona. And yes, you can go visit them. So maybe one of these weekends you can come with us to my mom's house, to our house. We have a house also on the reservation.
Cool. And can you talk a little bit more about, for example, those who live on the reservation, do they work inside the reservation? Do they go out of the reservation? What is kind of like living, or how is like the lifestyle in the reservation?
For work, they travel out of the reservation, like into the populated cities, like Las Vegas or Phoenix to work, because there's no work on the reservation.
Okay.
The only work they have on there is if people hire them to come grade the corn. That's how they make money, or they can like make all this food and then they vend them out by the curbside or something for people to buy. It's really, there's not a whole lot of jobs on the reservation.
Okay. I'm just trying to see if there's any more questions. So going back to food, KK, what is your favorite food of the Navajo culture?
My favorite food, it's not on this poster, but it's called popcorn soup. I call it popcorn soup, but I think in the Navajo, it's called hominy stew. Yeah, hominy stew. But I call it popcorn soup because it looks like popcorn.
Oh, okay. Is it like pozole? Because I know like Mexicans, we have the same with a hominy, but it's the broth is, well, the meat broth, but it's with chili as well.
Yeah, it's like that. It's kind of like, yeah, but not spicy.
Oh, okay. Is it just the broth, like the honey broth, or is it like, does that have color in it? Like what other ingredients go into that soup?
Lamb meat.
Oh, okay. That is cool. And now, are there different dialects within the Navajo language?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
For the rugs, this is what it would look like on the on a loom or miniature scale.
Oh, okay. Have you used one before?
Yes, I actually have.
Oh, cool. So Crystal M is asking, how many idols are there in the other Navajo religions? Do they have a lot?
Yes, they have a lot. They have a lot of idols, different kinds of idols, from animals to nature, and some other ones too.
Cool. Good questions, you guys. Let's keep them coming. So I have another question from Lewis. He's asking, what age can a person leave their home and family and depart the reservation?
Well, right now, I guess anytime after they finish school and then they can get a job, there's really no restrictions now in the modern. Everything seems like it's modernized. It's not like really, really, really traditional or really, I don't know. Today's world is.
Right. Got you. So Enoch Alcala is asking, I've been in a Navajo reservation, and at least the one where I was at, there was at least one mountain lion prowling around. How do you protect yourself from these types of animals if you don't have access to firearms?
I'm not really sure. We never really lived on the reservation. As far as I believe that people, I know they have firearms. I'm sure some people still have their traditional weapons, which is bow and arrows, or I don't know, just a stick. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have another question from Marisa Galloway. She's asking, what is something you wish more people knew about the Navajo culture?
The code talkers, Navajo code talkers.
Not very many people know that our people was a great part of winning the World War II. Our people, they were called the code talkers. And in World War II, I believe most of the Japanese and stuff like that, they were breaking all the codes. So the Americans couldn't, do what they had to do. And I believe one of them came across the Navajo and they couldn't just understand what they were saying. So they enlisted the Navajos into the military or in the Marines, and they made up their own codes, and they had these code talkers talking on the radios, like where the people were advancing or where they needed people and stuff like that. So not a lot of people know anything, or maybe even just a little smidget about the code talkers. That'd be something interesting to Google.
Awesome. We have someone from Sydney, Australia that says hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Let's keep them coming, you guys. Ask these questions. Is there anything else you want to touch base on, KK? Anything that you want to elaborate on or feel like that we haven't really talked about?
Nothing that I can think of.
Okay.
Well, actually, some of the sports on the Navajo reservation. is the main sport is basketball.
Oh, okay.
A lot of modern Navajo kids, they play basketball, and they find solace in playing that kind of sport. There's even a documentary on Netflix about it called Basketball or Nothing. So if you guys are interested in watching that kind, it'll give more into the life of the modern Navajo on the reservation, some of the troubles that they face as youth in a world full of, modernization and that kind of thing. It's very interesting.
Cool. What was the name of that show again? I'm sorry, the documentary?
Basketball or Nothing.
Or Nothing. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat. That way people can look into it after Sabbath.
Yes, on Netflix.
Oh, cool. Marissa's asking, do you have a favorite word or saying?
Oh, I have multiple favorite words to say in Navajo. Like for an animal, my favorite animal word to say is chicken, because the Navajo word for chicken is city. Or yeah, and also my other one, it would be pigeon, because the pigeon in Navajo is spite.
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 Oh, spite.
Yeah.
I'm butchering it, Caleb. Interesting. So city in Navajo is chicken.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have someone else asking, does everyone try to speak Navajo on the reservation to try to maintain the language, or do they mostly speak English?
The older generation, they speak mostly Navajo. They don't really know English, but the younger people, they speak English and don't really know Navajo.
Okay. I have MJ, the individual who's from Sydney, Australia. He's asking, or she, are the colors of your jewelry traditional colors?
Yes.
Okay, so the turquoise is traditional. So I have Adrian Marin asking, are there any cultural holidays and or events you guys celebrate?
Oh yeah. One of their cultural holidays includes the Navajo cake ceremony, the entryway for womanhood for girls. And that was what we talked about earlier when we made it's like a couple day ceremony where we are able to make a cake, and then that's going to be like cooking in the ground. It signifies like our entryway into womanhood. That usually takes place at around ages 8 to 12. And then we also have like holidays like Christmas that we also celebrate with our family members. And we've also adapted those to our needs too, as Native American traditionals. Some of those include like special prayers done on birthdays and for the individual in our own native language. And then also the use of like cedar and sage, like burning that
To smudge.
Yeah, to smudge on like our faces, and it signifies
A good blessing.
good blessings.
Awesome. So the coming of age for in the Navajo culture is from ages 8 to 12, right?
Around that age, or it's mainly just for girls. There's not really anything for for boys.
Oh, okay. So I have a question from Lewis, and he's asking, what do Navajo Indians do to hold on to their family and cultural traditions so that these important traditions are not lost?
Mostly just asking questions. A lot of these stories, our older generations, they're able to tell us if we just ask questions or, inquire about why certain things are done. Because we in our families, we do some of these certain things, but a lot of us, they don't ask questions. And so I guess the point of that is just to have it passed down from generation to generation. We don't, yeah, we have it oral traditions passed down. It's not really written down.
Awesome. So what is one of your, or like a story or something that was passed down to you, for example? Something like a either a folklore or a saying or a popular story that was just passed down throughout your generation.
No, I actually don't.
Okay, but one of the stories that I grew up with, I read it in a book. It was called First Woman and Coyote. And that one is just like kind of like an origin story. It's a story about this woman, her name is First Woman, and she lives in a village. And she has so much jewelry, she decides to put them in the skies as stars. So as she's doing this, it's a slow process, and she's putting her jewels into the sky. And then comes along a coyote. In our culture, coyotes signify like foolishness. It's just foolishness and mischief. And he comes over and he tries to help. And Coyote says, when First Woman leaves, Coyote says, "Oh, I can do this. I can figure out a way to do this faster." So he gets all the jewels and he just throws them out into the sky. And then that's why certain stars are in constellations, and certain stars are just like, they're everywhere. There's no like certain, structure or organization to them. That was one of the origin stories that I grew up with.
Oh, that's cool. Rebecca's saying that she heard this story before in school as well.
Yeah.
So I have Enoch asking, is there a reason why traditions aren't written down?
Yeah. I don't know. Our language is really hard to learn. And most people in our culture, they know the spoken language, but it's a different thing to learn how to like write it out and write it down. And it's different to read it too. So it's a lot harder for people to understand it when it's written down. And that's why it's a lot easier to just speak it from person to person, because it sticks better that way. But I guess now I bet it's a lot easier to write it down, because there's more ways to like save that kind of, save it and write it down.
Got you. That makes sense. I have Crystal M, and she's asking, is Navajo society matriarchal or patriarchal?
It's definitely matriarchal. A lot of the women, I remember my mom told me when she got married, like when a person gets married, their husband is expected to move in with the woman's side of the family and to help on that side. And definitely in a lot of the ceremonies and just in general in daily life, a lot of respect is given to the women of the family.
Cool. I'm just checking to see if there's any more questions. Mary Converse says that she loves this. She's watching through Facebook.
They teach us how to say thank you.
Okay. There's a thank you in Navajo is ahiehe.
Ahiehe?
Ahiehe.
Okay. So you guys at home can practice. Can you repeat it one more time for us, KK?
Ahiehe.
cool. So I have Samuel asking, what are some common Navajo names?
We have a lot of common last names.
We don't
And-
really have common first names, only last names.
Yeah, a lot of the last names for Navajos, they consist of like Yazi, Nez.
Yazi means snow.
Oh yeah, do you want to tell them how we got our last names? Oh, so a long time ago when we became like, when the government enforced schools on natives, a lot of natives had their own names, and when the government were trying to translate the names, they kind of made it simplified. So Yaje means small, but now it has become Yazi. That's how they say it. And Nez is a Navajo word that means tall, and that one almost stayed the same. Begay, I don't know, some of them aren't always like this, but most of our names are kind of like that. They're simplified in English, and we just kept them along. So some of the last names common are Begay, Nez, Yazi, Sosi. So yeah, those are some of our common names, and that's how they originated from, was from those kind of times when people were trying to like translate and institutionalize like natives and stuff.
Okay. So I have Mariesa asking, when a marriage happens, is it common to change a name?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Would they change it to the guy's last name or the girl's last name?
They changed it to the guy's last name.
Okay. I have Crystal asking, are there any Navajos that are notable stars, like actors and athletes?
There are, but some of the names I forgot. I think you have to look up those ones.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. They can Google it once we're done from here. Let's see if there's any more questions. Okay, I have Elizabeth asking, do you wear any special clothes in holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving?
Oh, it's just what I'm wearing right now.
So usually just either dresses or skirts. They're usually made out of like a fine like satin cloth, you can see. And then a lot of the men's clothing include just like their men's jewelry includes mainly just like turquoise, bolo ties and that kind of thing. They wear bracelets too, but they might be like a little bit bigger than KKs or more masculinized. And they wear mainly, they wear sometimes a band around their head, like a bandana kind of thing. And usually sometimes men in the Navajo tradition and culture, they can sometimes have like really nice long hair. Others, they cut their hair. And also in our tradition, we wear Navajo hair buns. Yeah, and those are made from the same material as the rugs, like the yarn. And those are like what is it called? And those hold the hair together.
I actually have one on right now. I don't know.
Just like it's like this. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's the same material that the rugs are made out of,
Yeah, sometimes.
sometimes. Okay. We have another question. Since a man usually moves in with a woman's family, is it only the bride that would change her name, or would the entire family change their name?
Only the bride.
Okay.
The one of Ashley or
Going back to the celebrity question, Navajo celebrities.
is one of them is called Ricky Flower.
He's a golfer, a professional golfer.
Okay, cool. Elizabeth is saying, the person who had asked about if you wear any special clothing for Christmas and holiday, she loves your skirt and you have a very nice hairpiece.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So you guys practice at home. Say it one more time for us, KK. How to say thank you?
Yeah.
Awesome. So again, to remind you guys, ask away. We are asking questions to Kaleab Paddock. So please make sure you write your questions in the chat. Alrighty, I'm not seeing any more questions on the chat. Oh, here you go. We have Enoch asking, do Navajos have an original martial art?
No. Not really.
So what are some things that those that are Navajo like to do like for their pastime?
Well, most Navajos, well, I only speak on behalf of the boys, but us boys really like to play basketball. At almost every house on the reservation is a basketball hoop. I don't know why we like it, but it's just part of it somehow implemented itself into our home life.
Okay. What about the girls?
We just usually hang out with our moms, grandmas, and like to listen to stories
Okay.
or how to be taught how to make food or rugs or sew.
And the boys, do they learn how to do that as well? Or are they mostly just on basketball?
They're mostly outside doing work like chopping wood, getting coal, not hunting, right? Hunting.
Okay. So I have another question from Lewis. He's asking, do Navajo Indians have family reunions?
Yes, we have multiple family reunions every year.
Okay.
Us personally, we go to Bryce Canyon.
For us personally, we usually go to Bryce Canyon every 4th of July.
Okay. So I have MJ. He's asking, or she, how do you say happy Sabbath in Navajo?
How do you say Saturday in
Ya ete demo.
And that means happy Yahweh.
And that means happy Yate and Saturday demo.
Can you say happy one more time?
Yate.
So,
It's the same as hello.
oh, okay. So happy and hello are the same, yate.
Yeah.
So yate demo.
Yes.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Let me go back and see if we have any other questions. Do you have, oh, I'm sorry. What do you have as a traditional breakfast right now? So MJ's asking, he says it's nearly 10 a.m. in Sydney at the moment.
This thing's modernized. You just have a regular breakfast.
Oh well, nowadays it's modernized and we just have a regular breakfast. If I were at my grandma's house, we would eat popcorn soup, fried bread, potatoes with spam and corn, and homemade tortillas.
And do you guys mostly eat corn tortillas, flour tortillas?
Flour tortillas.
Oh, those are my favorite too. I like flour tortillas more than corn. Alrighty, so we have about 8 minutes left. So does anyone have any other questions before we have to log out? I mean, we can continue on, obviously, but I don't know if there's any other questions that you guys are wanting to ask now that we have a chance here with Caleb. Okay, I have Elizabeth asking, do you have special or cultural food during Christmas and Thanksgiving?
We mostly have corn food, like, well, it's like mostly made out of corn.
So tamales, corn stew. What the corn stew is made with, sometimes can be made with vegetables like squash and pumpkin and like stuff like that, zucchini. And then we also include a lot of mutton into our food too. So alongside the turkey and the ham, they'll sometimes have like pieces of mutton, ribs, or that kind of thing. Roasted mutton. And then we have a bunch of like the same sides that you would find like anywhere else, like mashed potatoes, gravy, corn, that type of thing. Yeah, but those are just some of the differences.
Okay. I have Crystal M asking, do Navajo women have a special skincare routine?
Good for the hair.
To make your hair long, we would usually put the yucca plant in our hair to make it grow long. Wash it with yucca plant.
Oh, okay, so how would that work? Would you like boil the yucca leaves, or how would you do that?
Just take it out of the ground.
We would just take it. We don't boil it. We take it out of the ground, and we kind of peel it, put in cold water, and like kind of wash it, like this to get soapy.
Uh-huh.
And then you just wash it with your hair in it.
Maybe I'll do that. I have to grow my hair.
Me too.
I have another question from Enoch. He's asking, what is considered rude in your culture?
Eye contact, direct eye contact.
Prolonged direct eye contact. Because I know like a lot of people don't notice this, but a lot of Navajo people feel uncomfortable like directly looking into someone else's eyes. You know how like it's kind of polite to make eye contact when you're keeping a conversation? You'll notice that most times we'll like glance there every now and then, but we won't like look at you straight in the eye while we're talking, because in our culture that's considered rude.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's kind of something that's something I've encountered a lot, because a lot of times when I go to college or when I live with my roommates, they thought I was rude because I wasn't making as much eye contact with them. So it's just a little something that you don't really notice until it becomes a problem kind of thing.
Interesting. Is there anything else that is considered rude?
So I don't really know. I guess we have the same like kind of like gestures that like would be rude, you know, like
Right.
turning away or turning your back on someone while you're talking, like that sort of thing would be considered rude. And I don't know. I think, you know, ours is the same for everything else.
Right. And how do you guys greet each other? Like, if I were to want to greet, like, just a handshake, do you guys go in for a hug?
We do like a light handshake.
And then yeah, we go like that. And then sometimes with our family we would hug.
Yeah. We don't really use a firm handshake when we like shake someone else's hand. It's just kind of like, it's really light. It's just a gesture of like friendliness. Usually we do it with our family members too. So when someone enters the house, they'll usually go around or they'll shake everyone's hand before they sit down and like talk with everybody too.
Okay. I
It
have-
also works vice versa. It's like if you're walking into the house, you have to go around and shake everybody's hands.
Yeah. And if you're a visitor and family member too.
Okay. Cool, cool. I have a couple more questions. Someone's asking, is there symbolism in your culture?
We have symbolism. You can see it in our rugs. Oh, just 1 second. Oh, you have to post it. Some of our rugs, they have different meaning. So we have a couple of rugs here. A lot of them have like, you know, you notice like a triangular design.
Yes.
And some of them, they represent like different landmarks like mesas. We include houses. Some of them they have this rectangular design too. You'll see this one a lot. This one right here.
Okay.
Represents lightning.
This one, my mom says, represents lightning, the way it's jagged and comes down. And then we have another rug too, but it's not shown here. It's called Two Gray Hills.
Tree of life.
And we have another rug too. It's called Tree of Life. That one you can see a bunch of birds perched up on a tree. See, here we have the triangular design again and the rectangular design. And then all around the border right here, you'll see this one a lot too.
Awesome.
Oh,
Very cool.
yeah, so.
Very cool.
And then you'll see a lot of the Navajo basket. I don't know if Kiki showed that one.
No, not yet.
Do you have one, Mom? Okay. Hold on one second.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
Okay. So as we wait, I have another question from Lewis. He's asking, how are Navajo children disciplined?
Oh, for us, if we do something bad, then we usually get a spanking with like a spoon, a wooden spoon. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Okay, so back to the Navajo basket design. You'll see this one a lot too.
Oh, okay. And what does that symbolize?
This doesn't it point east?
Just
It's
symbolize
kind of like
home.
the hogan, like a home. Like Kiki mentioned earlier, the door to our traditional homes, they always point east. So that's why we have like an opening here. And then usually these are like wedding baskets. They're used in weddings.
Uh-huh.
And they're made out of, this one had stuff in there, but they're made out of really such tight material that you can even put water in this and it won't leak.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
My sister tested that to make sure it would work.
Well, I'm glad it was tested.
So again, you can see this same design in Kiki's like headpiece. if you can kind of notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same type of design. We use it in a lot of our like jewelry. I don't know, it's just always something we've used,
Okay. Cool.
like decorations and that sort of thing.
Right. So you mentioned that the larger basket was used for weddings. What exactly, or how would you use that in the wedding?
Okay, when usually the male will come to the female's home, and they usually do it like around 2 or 3 o'clock in the evening or in the afternoon.
Uh-huh.
And the bride's mom, she would mix up like a corn mush or whatever, and she would pour inside the wedding basket thing. And when the groom and his entourage show up, they would go inside the hogan. You know, the hogan always faces east. So when you step inside the hogan, you always have to go left and go all the way around to the right and to come back out clockwise. That's our tradition as well. So when they get there and they get seated, and then they eat the wedding pair, the bride and the groom, they would eat the mush, and then they would pass it to the groom's family, and they have to eat all the mush, all the mush out of the basket. And then the wedding basket actually goes to the groom's mom as a gift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. I have another question from Samuel. He's asking, are there some words that can't be translated into English from the Navajo language?
There are some words, yeah, a lot of words, I believe, I think.
Some modern words.
Some modern words, some new modern slangs that people talk, most of it cannot be translated. And then most of the words, they, like yate, that means you can either say hello or happy or whatever.
It means different things.
It means different things. But if you say the same, like the word ga,
Uh-huh.
if you said it the way I said it right now, that would mean rabbit. But then if you say it again, it would mean God.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another easy word you can't really translate is goodbye. There's no word for it in Navajo.
Just see you later.
Yeah. The closest thing we have to is see you later, because we believe that we will eventually see each other again.
And we never say goodbye.
Yep. And that is why we never say goodbye.
Oh, interesting. So you guys just say see you later.
Yep.
Yeah.
You pronounce this one hagone.
It says goodbye, but hagoane, that means see you later.
Hagone.
Yeah. And our tradition, we never say goodbye. So, because we always think we're going to see either in this life or the next life that we will see them again.
Oh, cool. I have another question from, let's see. They're asking, do you have any traditional medicine for when someone is sick?
Yes, we have a lot of traditional medicine. Sage, like if you have a head cold, you can steep that in water, and and then from the steam you can put like a towel over your head, and then and get that into your head. That's for cold, for sage. And for sage also, you can use the same one by steeping it again and drinking it. That takes away the cold and on the insides and stuff like that, and it helps with your digestion. We have a lot of native Navajo medicines, herbal medicines. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, we also use cedar to, again, like they said earlier, you can smudge it, or you can do the same thing, smell it, and this just makes your if you have a head cold, it will open up your sinus and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So I have another question. Marissa's asking, what is a traditional wedding attire?
It would, for women, it would be what something similar to what KK is wearing.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And for the men, it would be a white slack and a native shirt. Most of the native shirts for a man is made out of velveteen. And then he would have like a white bandana and then a necklace. He could probably even wear the same necklace that has KK has on, or he would have a bolo tie.
Okay. And I have another question. I didn't notice this. Sorry, MJ. He asked earlier, are you allowed pets on the reservation like cats? What type of pets are you allowed?
Yes, we have pets on the reservation. We have dogs. They actually help move the sheep around. It's like sheep dogs, and we have cats. They don't really do much, but we still have them anyways.
We have a lot of animals on the reservation. We've got a lot of horses, cows, sheep,
chickens.
We even have llamas. There's also a bunch of different types of like dogs with different types of cats too that have like roamed their way to the reservation. We utilize some of those as sheep herders, like Higgy said, or sometimes they're just like regular dogs. They just roam around. Okay, and so back to the wedding attire, we have a few examples of the men's bolo ties.
Okay.
He's gonna show them. See, they're just like regular ties, but they're like adorned with the silver again or the turquoise. And they would just be wearing it like a regular tie.
Okay. Awesome. So I have another question. Jeannie Jones is asking, how do you give your children names?
Wait.
How do you give your children names?
What they're doing at the time when they're little.
It mostly depends what they're doing when they're little.
Yeah, most of the names come up when they were little and you watch them, you know, what they're doing and stuff like that.
Different mannerisms and like attitudes and, you know, personality based. Yeah.
Okay, so does Caleb mean anything?
Caleb, for me, Caleb, I got that out of the Bible. That's when I had come to know God, you know. And Tristan's name, Navajo's nowadays is like, again, it's modernized. But
Right.
back then it would be native names. Yeah. So Caleb's name, I was inspired from the Bible, you know, the story of Joshua and Caleb and how they were on the border of Jordan.
Right.
Yeah. And Kiona's name, I really liked it because her name means grandma.
Aww.
In Hawaiian, and even her nickname means grandma, which is Nona, and that's also her grandma's name.
Aww.
Yeah.
But she's not wise.
So I have another.
My son's name, I love that name so bad. That's the only name that I had wanted to give my son, because when I was younger growing up, I had written his name down already and Kiona's name.
Aww.
That's a lie.
Oh, that is not a lot.
So I have two more questions. Lewis is asking, how do the Navajos handle the COVID-19 pandemic?
Horribly. They did not handle it very well at all. Again, because the shopping centers or the shopping plazas, the grocery stores, it's like 2 hours away. You have to go all the way into Mexico, or you have to come all the way out to Flagstaff to do your groceries and stuff like that. Everything's just so isolated. And then second, most of these Navajos that live on the reservation, they don't have running water. They don't have running water, so the washing your hand implement cannot be done. And also Navajos, they they're all about family, and most of them they're very social, and some of them they live like 3 generations together. Like the grandma will live with the daughter, and then the daughter would have grandkids. So and they all live like in the same house, so that the social distance is not really there as well. And then again, like we said, how to greet everybody. Wherever you go, you shake somebody's hand and say hello, yeah, just stuff like that. So they didn't handle it very well, and the healthcare is not, there's not really hardly any healthcare. Whatever hospital is on there is not equipped to deal with something like that. So most of the people that had caught the virus, they are either flown to Flagstaff or they're flown all the way to Phoenix, and they don't get flown right away. So, by the time they do reach that place, half of them or most of them, they've died from it. Just like my husband's aunt, she had passed away from COVID just last week. So,
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
yeah, it's, I don't think they've handled it very well. I thought they would because they were so isolated,
Right.
but, it's totally different. And then with the new generation, they're so modernized that they have to go into town. They have to do this. They're not taught how to stay at home, and they're not taught how to cook, and a lot of other stuff. So.
Right. So Crystal M, going back to the children's name, she's asking, since children's names come from their personalities when they are young, do they not have names at birth?
They would have nicknames. Yeah, they have names at birth, but most of the time when they're growing up, it's just like nicknames that they
Okay.
grow up with. Yeah.
Louis says, so sorry to hear about the loss due to COVID-19.
Thank you. I can't.
Samuel says, are there any jokes in Navajo that don't work in other languages?
Yeah, there are some jokes that you just have to be Navajo to understand.
Just got to be
Right.
You just got one of those. You got to be there, or you just got to know what's going on in Navajo to understand the joke.
Got you. So we have another question from Facebook as well. How can people help the Navajo people during this pandemic? What are some things that they need the most? So sorry to hear your loved one passed away from COVID.
We are currently right now in the process of getting donations from my husband's construction group. These mostly like, it's just like basically everything. It's so isolated. They don't have any canned goods, dry goods, like hand sanitizers. Like I said, most of them don't have running water, jug of water, a case of water, tissue, face tissue, toilet paper, just the basic things that we might need here. Like my husband and I, we've been there a couple of times. They were having a curfew. We were not able to get into the reservation a couple of times, but we had to go during the day, and the weekends were curfewed off. Nobody could go in or out of the reservation. So we were able to send some toilet paper, some hand soap, some masks. They need masks, they need gloves, because I don't know, just the basic stuff, really, what everybody else needs.
Right.
Right. And then also, a shout out to the actor, what's his name? Sean Penn. He has done so much good over on the Navajo reservation. He was the first one to go in there and start getting some of the Navajos tested. He's been to various different places on the Navajo reservation doing these tests, and also giving out food and stuff like that. And I know Jason Manoa, whatever his name is, the Aquaman, he sent water over there. And I was just so grateful that some of these people are sending stuff over there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, if there's any way, maybe like a link or organizations where people who are viewing us through these different platforms can possibly donate, or maybe some ways that we can help during this pandemic for the Navajos.
Yeah. Well, yeah, anything really helps. Like, you know, our church, they've helped a couple of times when the coal mine was open, and they were able to buy some coal every winter. And then or butane. My mom, the other day I called my mom, she's all like, I'm 8th person in line to get butane because they don't have electric. You know, some of these people, they don't have electricity. So they have to get their butane, but the heat that they get from the butane is from the stove. So, you know, anything really just helps, whatever, you know.
Right.
There might be GoFundMe's here and there, but I'm not really sure. This is, you know, and it's a big reservation and big area.
Yeah.
So, but in our area where we live and where my aunt lives, where Leander's family lives, and like in the Chinle area, not the whole Chinle area, but just mostly where my mom and those guys live,
Right.
and where my Leander's family lives, we try to give them canned goods and stuff like that.
Right. Well, so sorry to hear about that. Hopefully, you know, with this conversation that we just had, people are, you know, donating, well, would donate and possibly, you know, reach out to where they're at and how they can support, whether that's looking up GoFundMe accounts.
Right. Right, and not necessarily doesn't have to be monetary, you know, just prayers is good too. We welcome all kind of prayers.
Awesome. Well,
We know that the power of prayer.
Amen. Amen. Well, it looks like no one else has asked a question. So it looks like that's it. But let me just double check and see if anyone else wants to say their last questions. Going once, going twice. Yeah, so Lewis did responded saying it would be helpful to learn where to send our support. So most definitely, I'm sure we can probably put out some links, or like KK's mom was saying, prayers, even the basic stuff, cans, masks, toilet paper. I think it would be a great idea to get involved and help. But alrighty then, it looks like that's it for our questions. Thank you so much, Caleb, for your time. Thank you so much, the Paddock family, for your support and for your time. I really appreciate it. We appreciate all the rugs, the baskets, the jewelry, the traditional dress. We loved it.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh. So viewers at home, hopefully you guys can practice how to say thank you. And let's say a quick word of prayer, and then we can say see you later, not goodbye. Don't do goodbyes. So we can just bow our head, close our eyes. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for allowing us to partake in this great cultural diversity session, Lord. Thank you because you have allowed Caleb to talk about her culture, her Navajo culture. Thank you, Lord, for her family, for the participants that were here today, Lord. I ask that you just pour a special blessing to everyone that was here and everyone who's viewing us online all around the world. Thank you, Lord, for everything. I ask all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Alrighty, Caleb. So can you show us that sign one more time so we can see, so we can say it later? And can you say it for us again?
Hagonya.
Hagonye. I know, I butchered it. I know. Alrighty then. I will see you guys later. Have a great time, you guys. And hopefully you guys can join us for the next session of honors and activities. Bye.
Yeah. Oh.